Okay. Well, I'd like to open the Monday, September 20 Board of Zoning Appeals. All commissioners except one are present. We have a quorum. Have all members had a chance to review the minutes of the August 16 meeting? And if so, any comments, questions, or a motion to accept?
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain because I wasn't here. No old business, new business. 2021-24, 1820 South 4th Street. Hold a public hearing wherein the applicant requests a variance from the adopted development regulations to allow the use of an existing non-conforming sign after a change in business name and ownership. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant and owner, I'm sorry if I butcher it, Nyan.
Are you present? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are.
Thank you.
Is requesting a variance from the above noted section of the adopted development regulations to allow the use of an existing non-conforming sign after a change in business name and ownership. Section 8.15A of the current development regulations require that a non-conforming sign be modified to conform, replaced with a conforming sign, or removed if there is a change in business name or ownership. And it's reiterated there. There's a section. The subject property is zone R16, high-density, single-family residential, and was previously occupied by Connie's Liquor Spot. Retail liquor sales are not allowed use in R16 zoning. However, existing non-conforming use, the business is permitted to continue. Section 8.5E of the development regulations allow non-conforming uses, which are otherwise permitted by the regulations to display signage of conformancy with the least intensive zoning districts in which the use is permitted by right. Residential mixed use is the least intensive zoning district in which food and beverage sales are permitted by right. The business was purchased in May 2021. At the time of the purchase, the name of the business was changed to Tipsy Liquor. There is an existing freestanding sign associated with the business, which is located off of the property and in the right-of-way. Current regulations for signage in an mixed-use district requires that no part of a freestanding sign structure shall be closer than 5 feet to any property line. No permanent signage is allowed in the right-of-way, making the existing sign non-conforming. After the required notice was published, staff has received one comment from a neighbor representing 1817 Rose in favor of the variance.
A question. Since it's within the state right-of-way, does the state have any responsibility or any requirements that the city has to meet? Or do they defer to the local regulations?
They defer to the local regulations.
So as long as the sign is physically not changed with the exception of, size or shape or anything like that, just replacing the front signage on it, then that still is allowed under the non-conforming from a previously used or use. Because I looked at everything and it did not look like the sign structure itself was going to change at all.
Correct.
It's just a matter of a different logo on it than what was before.
Correct. That's what they're proposing, but since it is a change in business ownership and business name, which is one of the requirements to make them become conformants, it's to help to make all signs and everything.
I just wanted to make sure that the physical sign structure itself was not going to change at all, not get bigger.
Yes, no.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of the staff report?
Are there any, I know that the sign code is one of those things that was looked at a few years back, but are there plans currently underway to relook at the sign code? And if there are there any portions that are being considered that would affect this kind of situation that you know of?
No, because most of our regulations are for on properties versus that of right-of-way.
Mm-hmm.
So, this in outside. But there's nothing for us to address anything in the right-of-way at this time.
Okay. So it would not matter if he wanted the property rezoned or anything else, because it's in the right of way?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is it because it's in the right of way or because he wants to change the name on the sign?
Both.
Well, it's both, yes,
Yeah,
because it's
go
a
ahead.
it's a legal non-conforming sign before the change of a business owner.
Right.
And the name of the business, so it triggers for everything with the reface because of the new owner and the business name, for it to
Okay.
become conformance.
Let me have a hypothetical with you then.
Okay,
If he wanted to keep the name on the sign as Connie's Liquor Spot, and since he's in non-conformance, since he's in a R16 zone, I believe, he wouldn't have to come and ask for a variance.
if it stayed with Connie and it stayed with the same business owner, so,
Change business owner, same sign.
yeah, then they wouldn't, yeah.
They sell here.
They wouldn't have to come here.
They would have to.
Yeah, he's saying if they stayed the same,
If the business
No.
owner changed, they have to.
yes, that, because the three.
What triggers it? The change of ownership or the change of the sign?
Okay, so 815A1, if there is a change in business ownership, tenant, name, or type of business, if it's any of those,
Okay.
it will trigger it.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all.
Okay. Is the applicant in the audience? If you would like to speak, come up to the podium and state your name and tell us whatever it is that you want.
My name's Gary Nelson. I'm the attorney for the owner, and this is Neely Patel. His wife is the owner of this corporation, or this limited liability company. He's in charge of the day-to-day operations of the company, though. It's our understanding that some years ago that the state of Kansas expanded the right-of-way, which put that sign in the right-of-way. It's our understanding that it wasn't in the right-of-way when it was erected.
Probably as the A&W.
It could have been.
Yeah, it's been there a long time.
Some decades ago, I don't know when
Right.
they did it, but,
Yep.
I mean, that's what put it in the right-of-way. It's our understanding anyway, that's why it's in the right-of-way. But if you can tell from the pictures in the package that it's very close to the building. It's not out, close to the street. It's, it sits right there by the building, and it's several feet off the street. It's inside the sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the building, and been there for decades.
Do you have a final proposed drawing of what the new one will look like? Okay, that is the actual sign that is proposed, okay. The biggest problem isn't the right-of-way, it's the non-conforming use and the change of ownership for the zoning
Well, I
district.
understand what triggered it, yeah.
But as long as, it sounds like, as long as there isn't any substantial change to the physical structure, just a new logo on there, that's pretty minor.
But it still, he still has to have a variance.
Yes,
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 it still has to have the variance.
but I mean, the reason to approve or deny is very simple in this case, in my opinion. It's just the same type of business and the same sign structure. Any questions of the?
No?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any discussion amongst the board members? Seeing none, we can go ahead and go on with the vote.
You're gonna close the public.
Oh, close the public hearing, and then we'll go through the conditions. A request for a variance may be granted upon the finding of the board that all of the following conditions have been met. The board shall make a determination on each condition, and the findings shall be entered in the record. A, that the variance requested arises from such condition which is unique to the property in question and is not ordinarily found in the same zone or district and is not created by an action or actions of the property owners or the applicant. Ms. Kim?
Well, I can agree with the last part of that because obviously, creating the extra right-of-way by the state is not of his own doing. But it is not unique in that the properties all up and down 4th Street have the same problem. So I'm going to have to disagree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay. B, that the granting of the permit for the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residences. Ms. Kim?
Are you start with me again?
Yeah.
Okay. I disagree. And for the same reasons as I disagree with the first one, I feel like that, that the intent of the sign ordinance is to eliminate non-conforming signs, particularly those that are in the right-of-way, and by granting the variance. I mean, obviously, it's a very minor change, but the sign ordinance is pretty clear about its intent, and so I can't agree. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I agree.
I agree.
Agree.
C, that the strict application of the provisions of the development regulations from which the variance is requested will constitute unnecessary hardship upon the property owner represented in the application.
Well, though it would be obviously a financial hardship, that's not something that we can consider by law, so I have to disagree again.
Agree.
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 And D, that the variance desired will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare.
I'll agree with that one.
Agree.
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 And E, that granting the variance desired will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the development regulations.
That one I definitely disagree with. It will definitely be in conflict with it.
I agree.
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 In granting a variance, the board may impose such conditions, safeguards, and restrictions upon the premises benefited by the variance as may be necessary to reduce or minimize any potentially injurious effects of such variance upon other property in the neighborhood, and to carry out the general purpose and intent of these development regulations. The only thing that I was thinking here is the need for the sign regulation to be reviewed and updated.
Well, I can tell you, I've worked on sign regulations across the United States, and every one of them will have a similar version of this, except sometimes they're a little more lenient in allowing 50% cost of this alteration. But that's probably, yeah, I mean, we could certainly request that they look at it, but it's not likely that it will change because it's a universal, if you will, clause in almost every zoning ordinance that you'll see.
Okay.
Does the city have a standard on how bright the light can be?
The lumens.
The lumens?
It's in the development regulations, yeah.
It's in, okay. So they'll have to go through that. And they're not changing this, I mean, we don't have to limit the size because the size is what it is and they're not changing it.
Correct.
They're just changing the panel.
Yes.
So it's not gonna be any larger, and as far as the lumens are concerned,
You're using the same
Yeah, usually,
case, right?
the lighting, when you have the lights replaced,
But as far as the size of the case,
size is gonna remain the same.
How many more lots along that road are non-conforming?
I have not counted, but there are quite a handful.
And most of that strip, let's say between Lynn and Marion, are commercial, correct? Are they all non-conforming?
they all are, but
Yeah, because I do know
Probably the
Donut
majority.
Palace showed up as well. Donut Palace had to put theirs in conformance. Right when I got here, actually.
Yeah, it used to be the sign.
The sign was too tall, so they had to
Yeah.
cut it down
But
to meet conformance.
Is it because of zoning or because of other things
It,
like
it
the
was
sign?
it was a non-conforming, and then it was, because it used to be a Sonic, and then Donut Palace, new owner.
And if I remember correctly, Donut Palace had some problems with being in the flood zone.
Probably.
Portion of it.
A portion of it, yeah.
Because they rebuilt it and moved it, because the first one was definitely in the
Yeah,
flood
it
zone.
was in the back and then they
I
moved it
kind of figured it
forward.
was probably in the back.
So, to alleviate some of the problems that are generated by the nonconformance of the lots, does the city initiate rezoning, or does the zoning board? Hence, it might be something to consider.
Right.
But the rezoning, even in this case, it wouldn't affect the sign, it would still have
No,
the same issue.
but I'm just saying, the thing that triggered it was the change of ownership of the property.
Right,
And then we got into the signing and the right-of-way, et cetera, from the state. But how many more people are gonna be forced to come and ask for a variance if somebody else buys another piece of property that's non-conforming with the residential district?
But even if it wasn't in the residential district, it would still have triggered this.
Because it's a
It's not
non-conforming sign because it's located in.
The sign is, but the property and the change of ownership of the property being in a non-conforming status. Maybe you ought to look at it and see if you can clean it up,
Yes, we can look at it.
okay? Just a suggestion. But I don't want to make that part of the variance.
Yeah, it can be.
No, but
Yeah.
we could, after these are over with, make a comment or a statement that requesting the city staff review the nonconformance issues along
Along 4th Street.
along 4th Street, and then just leave it at that and
We
let
can see
them
what we can
report
do.
back to us what they found. So, but we can do that after we handle these two.
Okay.
Then we'll open it up. Okay, hearing that based on the voting, a recommendation is to approve, and based on no comments, approval is granted.
That same sign was there when it was A&W.
yeah.
Yeah. Still A&W to me.
Huh?
It's still A&W to me. The root beer just tastes different.
Yeah.
Okay, the second item on the agenda, 2021-25, 44 Limit Street. Hold a public hearing wherein the applicant is requesting a variance from the adopted development regulations to allow a detached garage greater than 900 square feet on a parcel less than 1 acre. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant and owner, Kevin Cox, is requesting a variance from the above noted section and adopted development regulations to allow construction of detached garage that is greater than 900 square feet on a parcel less than 1 acre. 4.4B3 for single-family residential, a garage not to exceed 900 square feet on a parcel less than 1 acre, and 1,200 square feet on a parcel 1 acre or larger. Detached garages require construction of a driveway to provide access to conformance with the parking provisions of the code. The applicant proposes The construction of a 1,200 square foot detached garage on the northeast corner of the property with access off the adjacent property. Let me get to where you can actually see it. Oops, well, stop scrolling, Sorry. Okay, there we go. All right, so northeast corner of the property with access off the adjacent alley. The property is currently zoned medium density single family residential R19 with a single family dwelling. The primary structure has a calculated area of 1,680 square feet on a lot that is 0.29 acres. The proposed use of the detached garage is for storage and restoration of an antique vehicle. The extra space will be used for storage of belongings that are currently in a storage unit. After the request of notice was published, staff has not received comment from any neighbors.
Any question of the staff report? I have two simple ones. The main house itself does not have a garage facing the front, facing Lemon Street.
Not that I am aware of.
Yes, sir, it does have a garage facing Lemon Street.
It does, okay.
Okay. And do we have a new picture of the proposed garage, or is the metal building the best we have?
This is currently what we have. I am so sorry. I keep.
Here's a picture.
Yeah. Sir, is your intent still to construct something
Yes,
similar to
sir, the only
this?
thing that would be different is the color, it would be
Just state your name and address for the record.
Kevin Cox, 44 Lemon Street. Yes, the building would be similar to just that right there, but it would be in like barn red with white trim.
Okay. Looks like three openings, so for three cars? Those
Yes.
actually don't look wide enough for a car, but. Okay, so you want a 3-car garage in the back, and you also have a 1 or 2-car garage on
It's
the Wilson Street side.
On the Lemon Street
Or the
side,
Lemon
it's
Street side.
it's a 2-car, but it's really hard to fit 2 cars in there. Like, you have to put one all the way against the wall, so for you to get it out, you have to move the other car and like go back and forth to get it out the door.
Okay.
Let us get there.
And I assume just 1 story, not an attic or a finished attic or anything in the upper level of it?
Above that garage? No.
Okay. Good. We have had applications for similar structure. Okay.
And you plan to access this strictly off the alley?
Yes.
Any other questions of the applicant? Well, I guess I'll open the public hearing if there's anyone that'd like to speak or not, since the applicant's the only one left in the room. I guess I could go ahead and close the public hearing then and open it up to discussion amongst the board members. One question for staff, does the number of entrances into the garage, like the garage doors, is there any restriction on that? Or it's just a square foot of the size of the building?
Just a square foot, the impermeable surface is what we end up calculating on driveways.
Okay.
So essentially, he's asking for 300 more square foot.
Correct.
I don't have any more comments.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and go into the voting. A request for a variance may be granted upon a finding of the board that all the following conditions have been met. The board shall make a determination on each condition, and the findings shall be entered in the record. A, that the variance requested arises from such condition in which is unique to the property in question and is not ordinarily found in the same zone or zoning district and is not created by an action or actions of the property owner or the applicant. Mr. Basis?
Well, we've had several of these come up in the last several meetings. And, you know, my question, at least to myself in thinking about these, is the regulations say that it's 900 feet. And if we approve someone for 1,000 feet because it's only 100 feet, and then we approve this because it's only 300 feet, I mean, where's the line? The line's been drawn at 900 square feet. And although, you know, you have a beautiful home there, and obviously you take great care of it, I have no doubt this would look terrific and be really nice for the property. But the way that the regulations and ordinance are written, I don't think it's appropriate. And so I don't think this is unique to the property and would deny or disagree.
For basically the same reasons, I disagree as well.
Disagree.
Disagree, with same reasons.
B, that the granting of the permit for the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residences. Sure.
Well, I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
That the strict application of the provisions of the development regulations from which the variance is requested will constitute unnecessary hardship upon the property owner represented in the application.
Disagree.
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 That the variance desired will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare.
Agree.
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 And that granting of the variance desired will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the development regulations.
Disagree.
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 Based on 3-2, the request is denied. Yeah, the only conditions if it was approved. Are there any other issues that the board would like to bring up, as in, like, reviewing the development regulations for 4th Street? Mm-hmm. Would someone like to make a motion? Or state what desired results, and then we'll...
I'd like to see how many non-conforming lots there are, let's say from, is it Lynn to Marion along that west side of 4th Street are the buildings are in non-conformance.
Are you more interested in the buildings and the kinds of properties?
The property.
Or signage?
No, I'm more interested in the lots,
The use.
the use.
Non-conforming uses?
Yeah, non-conforming uses. And are they non-conforming, or did someone apply for a special use permit?
Would you not also be interested, though, in the signage? The non-conforming signs, because that's the issue that was before us tonight.
We could do 2 of them.
We can-
But I think
Yeah.
the biggest one is how many non-conforming uses are in that
Because
area.
they could have a non-conforming use, but have a conforming sign.
True, I think the signing regulations need to be reviewed separately, no matter what zone that they're in.
Yeah,
But in particular, because of all the changes along 4th Street and there have been some closures and some changes, and who knows what the new owners will do. So I think now is a good time to just review that. I mean, you don't have to do an in-depth study, but certainly you know what the zoning is along 4th Street, and you can just, quickly calculate how many are non-conforming.
We can even look now if you want.
No, I would not like to do it now.
No? Okay, well, I'll go through and I'll let y'all know.
Okay.
And then a second one for, a question back to Julie, I guess, is, are there any plans to review the signing regulations? And if so, what's the timeline? Or when were they last reviewed? How about, when
We
were they
just
last reviewed?
updated
Yeah.
it for this section about it meeting those that are non-conforming uses, that the signs match the least intense district, classified it, which, as stated in the policy report on this property, a mixed use is the least intense zoning district that liquor stores are allowed in, so those would be the types of signage requirements that would have to be met.
Would it be easy for you to email a copy of that
Yeah.
to us?
Yeah, I can do
I mean, I
that.
would like to have it, I
Yeah.
don't know if the rest
Yeah,
of you.
Yep, I can do
Just-
that.
So then you don't need to do the second one, just the first one.
Okay.
How many non-conforming uses?
Well, up there, I don't know if it's magenta or purple or whatever you
Oh.
call it. Is that all R16
All,
along 4th there?
Yellow.
the yellow's all residential, so your
Okay.
yellows and oranges are usually your residential, your pinks are your industrials, and then this is supposed to be a red, it's supposed to be your commercials.
Okay, all right. Let's come down a little bit on 4th Street.
Have stable?
Where's Ablesfield? Right there?
There's
Keep
Marion.
going.
It's Marion.
It's,
So that's.
Okay, there's Marion.
Subway and Price Chopper.
So you've
There's
got
only a
those-
few in there that are,
They're rare and far between, because we had, that hair place. Oh my goodness.
That's by, the gas station.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's further north.
they tried to put up a new sign in the right of way as well, and we ended up, they had to remove it.
So so even if it's general business district, such as, for example, say this was general business district.
Right.
If the ownership changes or the name changes, even if it's in the GBD, it still would have triggered this meeting.
My big concern is I think
that's
this
correct.
one in particular is in R1 or R1 through whatever.
R16.
Yep, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, why
But
is
it's been
that?
that way since the 60s.
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
I think it could be easily rezoned, but what is their advantage to being rezoned? You
Well, in
know,
the future,
I am
I'm sure
sure.
that's,
If they wanted to change the use of the building, instead of a liquor store to liquor
Yes.
store, liquor to something
yes,
else.
absolutely, that would be to their advantage, but if they're
Then-
keeping the
then-
same use, it's like, why go through the expense and the hassle of
you go back to
rezoning?
future land use, like see what the colors are. Yeah, so that'd be all commercial.
That's the future land use plan.
That is a
Mm-hmm.
possibility.
So the intent for it is to be commercial anyway. It's just that the zoning hasn't followed suit yet.
I think Metropolitan, we have a lot of those in Metropolitan too. And that was a big discussion for the comp plan. So we discussed
Yes,
that.
that is another street that has changed quite a bit.
Right.
It's going to change even more.
Well, it sounded like she answered your question already, so,
So can I move to adjourn?
yes,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we have any items for next month?
Meeting is
One.
adjourned.
We go from